5 minutes till we got people here. Gonna be a fun time. All right, looks like folks are here. Make sure this is muted so it doesn't double talk. Yep, yay. All right, enough of the silliness. Got to go be super serious now. Talk to people about solar energy. Such a difficult conversation. Welcome, fellow humans. People coming into the room, the virtual room. Hello, fellow humans. Thank you for coming and for being on time and being willing to hop on a Zoom meeting after a year of Zooming. Hope y'all aren't zoomed out completely. Grateful to have you for a couple of minutes, but thank you for coming. We will get started at the very top of the hour because we know that folks who are on time respect other people's times, and we want to respect yours by starting out on time. So thank you for being here. But as of right now, my name is Lester, and I'm your host, and y'all are early. So is there anything that y'all want to talk about just as humans before all these other people show up and we start talking about fundraising and solar energy? Y'all have try anything new and exciting today? We'll put this thing up.
No,
so just a normal old
warning,
text.
you have a 1-year-old getting ready to start crying, okay?
Are you saying something and I can't hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I thought nobody was saying anything. Are you saying something and I can't hear you? I am sorry for. I can hear you now. Let me mute this YouTube page real quick. I thought nobody was saying anything. There we go. Yes, Arlene, I can hear you now. Sorry if I was speaking over you. I had my volume all the way down. I was like, man, it's like real silent. So what were you sharing with everybody?
Oh, I was just wanting to say I might jump out because I have a 1-year-old that is calmly eating his dinner. But if he starts to yell, I might have to run and pick him up.
No problem. Like that's the most important thing you could be doing is taking care of that 1-year-old for us and for everybody else on the planet. So thank you for being the kind of mom that is willing to take care of her 1-year-old and also being mindful of all the people you're around by letting us know where you might go. So this will be on YouTube, as you just saw. So if you end up missing some of it, you'll get a link tomorrow with this on there. So you can watch it again whenever you want to. Like the people who actually show up to these receive the donations for their organizations. And then everybody else just gets to learn from the questions that we get to share together and talk about together. The fundraiser, fundraiser usually takes anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. It's really easy. It's just introductions and contributing to a conversation. And then we can talk about solar for as long as you want to. Well, almost as long as you want to. We have another group showing up in 2 hours. So, but everything's optional. Like you don't have to stay here for 2 hours. You don't have to stay here for any longer than you want, but we're sure glad you came. And we're looking forward to getting started in 2 minutes when everybody else shows up. So that was a long way to say, no problem, Arlene. Take care of that kid if you need to. Hello, Lizette. Thank you for being early. Hey, Eddie. You're muted. It looks like you're trying to say something to us. Do you see where it says, there you go. Now you're not muted. How's it going, Eddie? Can y'all hear Eddie?
No. No, Eddie might need to hire his computer too.
Eddie. Yeah, John, I was just thinking nobody was talking earlier and I was talking over people because I had my volume all the way down and couldn't hear anybody. So we've got 1 minute left. You want to hear a joke before we get started? A dad joke? Just a bad one? All right. So why didn't the photon pack a bag when it went to the airport? Because it was traveling light. And that's what we use to make solar electricity with, and we'll have a good time talking about it tonight. So Glad y'all are here. Thank you for coming. And we'll get started in 1 minute. We'll let people in for about 2 or 3 minutes afterwards, as long as introductions are still going on in case they're having trouble with their computer. But it's 6 o'clock and y'all are here. Does anybody have a problem with starting on time? Okay, good. Well, Eddie, hopefully we'll get to hear you soon. Before we get started, John, I'm going to make you the co-host so you can let people in or lock the meeting whenever it's time to not. But let's go ahead and get started since y'all are here. So a lot of this is visual. So to make sure y'all can see the same screen I can see, do you see a guy that looks like me in a pink shirt, maybe a little bit too serious? Then a guy with a bow tie and some dinosaurs and some movie creatures, and then our teammates, Luke and Holly. So we just dropped Luke and Holly in today. I know that looks kind of bad, but they look kind of good. And we're grateful to have them as teammates. John and I had started this endeavor back in 2000. And when was it, John? 15? Yeah, 2015. It goes by quickly. And we just saw that there was a lot of money being used to talk to people about something that seemed like a good thing to us, which was solar energy. But people were paying for Google and Facebook ads and salespeople. And we just thought, wouldn't it be more fun to give that money to good people? Not that Google and Facebook aren't good people, but there's people where that money would be better spent, or at least have more of an impact. And so our mission is to add as much value as possible to as many lives as possible. The fundraising part of what we do isn't a trick to get you here so we can put you in some horrible process where you have to endure us forever and pretend that you like us or pretend that you're interested. It's part of what we do. We're grateful to give the donation to the organizations that y'all showed up to. And we believe in making that part so easy that hopefully you'll invite 4 or 5 of your friends to come through the experience as well. And this is how the fundraiser works. All you have to do is introduce yourself, your location, which organization you came to support, not be driving and have your camera on. So you guys aren't driving, you got your cameras on. And then just share with us why you think, either why y'all aren't using solar, why other people aren't, or just any general question you have. And then this is from last night. I'll go ahead and delete this. You guys hopefully aren't using this as a cheat sheet, but we can talk about anything that you want to. And I'll be here until we have your questions answered. And you don't have to stay any longer than you want. We're glad to have you. So who would like to go first with our introductions for the fundraiser part? Got any hands being raised? I can't
Antonio.
see.
Hi.
Hi, Antonio. Go for it, brother.
Good. Yes. I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida. So, and it's my granddaughter is at Somerset Academy.
Sobe.
I was trying to understand about the solar system. I live in a homeowner association community. I don't know if they allow you to have solar panel on your roof.
I don't either, but I know legally they're not allowed to stop you, but they might be breaking the law and say that you can't. But if you live in a place where you own your own roof, Antonio, you can for sure go solar. And we'll be glad to walk you through that process. No problem at all. Is there any other questions you have? I won't answer all these questions as they come out. I just wanted to address that one quick because I felt like being a little bit snarky and funny. Is there anything else you're wondering about?
Not really. Just want to listen to what you have to say regarding, is it feasible? I know you can do it on your roof. Maybe, I don't know if you need to be reinforced part of the roof in order to connect, to install it or not.
Yeah, I don't know either, but these pictures I'm showing you are how we find out if you make it that far in the process. So these are all very good questions. And I'm glad you're here, and I'm looking forward to working with y'all. So who would you like to hear from next, Anthony? How do you spell feasible?
Possible works.
Who's next?
I can go next.
All right. I can't spell.
My name is Melissa, and I am supporting EKB.
Yay.
And this is actually my first introduction to anything solar powered, so I'm curious to learn about it.
Isn't it kind of neat that the first time you heard about it was because you showed up to do something good for somebody else?
Yeah.
Thank you for making that possible. That's what our service is about. So you're just wide open. You're a newbie, as we
Yep.
say.
I'm a newbie. I don't know
Melissa,
much about it.
thanks for being here. Who'd you like to hear from next?
Hi, I just want to piggyback.
Okay.
My name is Shoshana. I'm also supporting EKB, SHANA. Yes. And my biggest concern was the same thing was I think Antonio who mentioned about association. I also live in association development, and of course with everything trying to be clean and protecting our energy, our planet, the solar panels definitely make sense. But that was just my biggest concern, and there's such a huge obstacle that, the most minimal thing, they kind of knock you down. So I just wanted to find out, if this is permissible, then this might be a way to go because one, it saves energy. It's, it's better for our planet. So I'm here to listen and find out some information.
So it sounds like you'd be all for it if it's possible for you to do it.
Yes.
Well, thanks for showing up, and ask any questions you have that pop up as we're going through this, Shauna. Who's next? I thought I saw Stephanie raising her hand. Is that?
I did. Yeah, you can hear me.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
am Stephanie Finlayson. I work at Summerfield Elementary as the pre-K blended VPK teacher. This is my first time hearing anything about solar energy. My two pairs, you had them yesterday, so they kind of filled me in with stuff. I live in a townhome, and like everybody else, is under the HOA, and it's a townhome on top of that. So then I don't know how that would be with the townhome.
I don't either. What we're really asking in that "Are you a homeowner" section is, are you a homeowner who owns the roof of your property and doesn't need anybody else's permission?
Yes, a homeowner of my own townhome property. Yes.
So you said you had parents like parents that you of kids you teach come through yesterday, or your parents came through yesterday?
My parents, my classroom assistants, they came through. Miss
I've never heard that word before.
Miss Sharon Wiligi, that was here yesterday, and Mylan Casanova, they were here yesterday. But I did refer to my mom and my sister if they do sign up.
Cool. Well, we're grateful for them to show up, and we'll make a donation for every person who owns their home and owns their roof who shows up and introduces himself like you just did, Stephanie. So thanks for being willing to be curious. Who would you like to hear from next?
I'm Arlene. I'm also from Summerfield Elementary School. I teach 4th grade there.
You?
And I guess why I haven't really considered it is because I'm a stepmom. I have a 4-year-old, and we haven't, even though we own our house now, we just bought it this year. I'm not sure if it's like our permanent home because we want to be close to obviously my stepson. So if his biological mom decides she wants to move him somewhere else, we'd probably move him to be close to him. So I think that the benefit of having solar, it takes a few years to actually see the benefit of it. That's what I'm thinking, right? It's a process.
A lot of people think that, and we can for sure talk about it. I have an entire slide about it, like how long until I see value returned if I do it. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, because I figured I think we might be set here for 4 or 5 years, but beyond 5 years, I don't think we're really set here. So I'd be afraid to put money into solar and then kind of like move on,
That's about 4 years and 364 days longer than I know where I'm going to be. If you have any idea if you're going to be somewhere for 5 years, like life's crazy. And
Right.
Arlene, grateful to share all the information with you, and thank you for showing up. Who wants to go next?
Suppose I'll go next.
All right, who's that?
My name's Matt. I'm here supporting the Region Center. My house is out in Winston-Salem. And the only reason I hadn't done solar already is just not knowing I'd probably be able to swing the loan payments on top of mortgage and everything else. But I know it kind of counteract itself with my power bill being a lot lower. But I did get a chance to glance at the email with the estimate, and I saw that there was like a baseline bill, which I'm assuming is like you have to pay a baseline just to be connected to the grid. Is that correct?
That's right.
And I definitely want to do everything I can for the planet. I wouldn't feel as guilty blasting my AC if it's coming from solar instead of some other source.
Well, most people when they go solar end up getting, that's not true. A lot of people end up getting more because they're like, wait a second, I thought my electricity was supposed to all be made. We're like, we only made enough for what you needed last year. And then you started blasting your AC, but you can always get some more if you need to. It is a good feeling, guilt-free energy, Matt. Thanks for caring about our planet. And I'm glad you got to meet John and know about the Regen Center. Who would you like to hear from next? All right, Eddie. Eddie, you remind me of that Pink Floyd song, like your lips move, but I can't hear what you're saying. I don't know what to do either. John, what do you think Eddie should do? You go to sign language?
I think if you look down at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's a thing that next to stop video or start video, there's a thing that allows you to mute and unmute. If you click there, it might allow you to choose a microphone. And you can pick the internal microphone, unless your computer does not have a microphone. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, how about that?
Easy Eddie, baby. Get it done.
How about that? Yeah, I had to change the settings on the microphone. Okay, my name is Eddie, and I'm the grandfather of a kindergarten, my little guy, as I tend to call him, at Sobey. I've done a little bit of research about solar panels, and the one thing that's always concerned me is, we're living in a hurricane storm area. So there are some homes around our neighborhood that have solar panels, and I've always wondered, if get hit by a hurricane, what happens to those panels? Are they going to hold up? And
what happened the last time a hurricane came through to those solar panels in your neighborhood? Are they still there?
Yeah, I don't know how long they've been there because we haven't been hit directly yet in a couple of years. But so that would be my main question. And also, if you have to do roof repairs and it happens to be under the solar panel, what's the added cost? Because you're going to have to remove them, I suppose.
Yeah, those are both excellent questions. And it means you've actually been thinking about what it would look like to have them, because you're thinking about all the bad things. And I appreciate that. We'll talk about all that stuff, Eddie. If you think of anything else tonight, feel free to let us know. So who have we not heard from yet? I believe there's 3 or 4 more folks to go.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing well, brother.
I represent Ethel Colgate Beckham.
EKB, what's your name, sir?
EKB. I'm just looking forward to hear the presentation, see if it's something feasible.
What have you heard? What's your name? I can't see it on my little Zoom.
Juan Carlos.
Juan Carlos. Juan Carlos, what kind of stuff have you heard that would make you think that maybe it wouldn't be feasible?
No, I mean, I've seen a lot of panels. I am a real estate appraiser, so I see them all the time. But I've never looked into it for myself. As far as price and what the gentleman said, how good are they? Something happens with a hurricane. When will you get your money? When will you start seeing the advantage of it?
Yes,
as opposed to FP&L. So basically that's, I want to hear those things, and, because I've really never looked into it.
I'm really glad you're here. And I'm going to make you a special invitation. I'm not going to make to anybody else, that even if you very much dislike what you hear tonight, if you would like to continue the conversation with us, we would love to have it, because we need real estate appraisers who actually understand the value of solar. And it would be great to provide any information that you need for your job. But tonight we'll talk to you as a homeowner, Juan Carlos. Thank you for doing what you do.
You're welcome.
So who's next?
Hi, I'm Lisette. I'm in Miami. I'm here representing Sobe. And I had two questions that I don't know if you know the answers to, but one is we have a home under construction and we do not have a certificate of use on the home yet, but obviously I still pay an electric bill as the home is under construction and there is electricity running. So can we get solar panels on a house that has not been issued a certificate of use? And my second question is, do you know if these panels, kind of piggybacking off of Eddie, if there is a hurricane, are these covered under insurance or would a separate insurance need to be purchased to cover panels like this?
The first question, congratulations. You know, that we stream these on YouTube already, but at some point we'll have sponsors and we'll give out like an extra $100 donation when somebody asks a question like that, because you're the first person to ever ask that question about getting solar in a place with no certificate of use. John may know better than I can, but if not, one thing I promise you is that we can find out. And as far as the insurance goes, let me just go ahead and skip ahead since everybody's asking about it. One of the things that we check using our service, we always check to make sure that you have enough homeowners insurance. Every case we have seen so far, there was enough insurance already. It didn't have to be altered. But in Miami FPL, if you have a big enough solar system, and most of y'all people do who are supporting Sobe, you would have a big enough system where you would have to up your insurance a little bit. And Michael Alvarez is a Sobe dad who said he'd be more than glad to sell anybody insurance who needs it. If you guys know Michael from Sobe. So I told him I would give him credit if anybody wanted to do it. So yes, if it does blow away, you're covered by insurance. And I'll show you soon what we do to make sure, to the best of our ability, it doesn't blow away, unless Hurricane Andrew or something comes, and then there's nothing that will stop that except for insurance when you rebuild. But John, do you know the answer about that certificate of use thing?
Yeah, it's you can add solar panels to your property, and whenever you get your certificate of occupancy or certificate of use, it's called different things in different areas, and you pull your full electrical service, then you can activate your solar panels. So that's actually the very last step of going solar, is getting them activated. You might have them on your roof and you might have sunshine hitting them for like a month, but until the utility company comes out and inspects it and makes sure it's safe to interconnect to the utility grid, they're not actually active in producing electricity. So yeah, totally, you can get them installed, and then whenever you do get your CO or CI, then they'll be activated.
So cool. Thanks, Lisette. Sometimes we do the questions at the end, sometimes we do them at the beginning, but who wants to go next? See anybody that's left? Manuel?
Manuel.
Yes, to unmute you. I can hear you now,
Okay.
Manuel. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Manuel De Jovio. I live in Puerto Rico, so I'm kind of away from your area. Obviously, I'm on a hurricane path, so definitely that's one of my main concerns. I support the Sobe, which I have my grandson goes there, which is Eddie's grandson too. So both grandparents are here. So yeah, again, the only concern that I would have is the panels flying away, and what's going to happen with them. As to insurance, that will go into the homeowner's insurance. I live in a townhome, and there's a few people who have panels, so I'm not concerned about that. Currently, I have a diesel generator.
Fantastic. So you just don't want to be in a place. So you know that your HOA is no problem because there are neighbors who have solar panels, and you want to know about hurricanes. Well, that all sounds great. So I'm going to talk about all those things. I'm going to make sure that I address them in a way where you feel complete. And you're welcome to hop off whenever you want to when your questions are answered. We don't like wasting people's time, and that's why we give first. So do y'all see that cat? If you see a cat and you came tonight for a fundraiser, the cat means we're done with that. The fundraiser is complete. So it looks like there's about 10 folks on here. If all y'all are homeowners, we just raised $500 for the organizations that y'all showed up to support. So you can give yourself a pat on the back, a hand, whatever you want to do. But thank you for showing up to support some good causes tonight. Everything else that happens is just a bonus. And to show you how our service works, it's very simple. We already sent you a design. If you didn't get it in your email, you either gave us the wrong email, which sometimes people do because they don't want to be spammed. No problem. Just let us know. Or it went to your spam box just because it doesn't recognize us yet. So be sure to check your email. Let us know if you didn't receive it. And then we send this to everybody who registers. Tomorrow, once you have the knowledge from tonight to be able to understand this better, we're going to send you this thing called open book pricing. That's based on the amount of electricity you told us that you needed to make and our attempt to get you to being able to make 100% of that yourself from sunlight, which will tell us how many solar panels you need. And we'll get into that a little bit more later, but everybody's going to have a chance. If you've ever wondered how much would it cost for me to go solar, you'll know. There's nothing hidden there, and we'll be glad to explain everything on there. And then it's up to you about whether or not you want to do it. But tonight is just an open conversation based on what y'all just shared with us. And so we can do this 3 or 4 different ways. We can go one at a time. We can go in alphabetical order. We can have a speaker for the group. Does anybody who's a teacher or a facilitator have a suggestion for how we proceed with clearing up all these concerns? Matt, any suggestions? You look like you'd be a cool dude to hang out with.
Appreciate it. I don't know, I'd say just go from the top of the order of people spoke.
Sounds great. So Antonio, HOA, there's a Supreme Court ruling that says if your community is completed, you cannot be stopped from going solar. They can make it. So we got 3 HOAs on here. So Shauna and Stephanie, this is for you too. If you don't have an undeveloped lot in your community, then you can go solar. What can happen is they can make you jump through a lot of hoops, but that's just to keep the neighborhood beautiful. So they might say you can't use this part of your house. But usually what we find out is the HOA restrictions happen because everybody thinks solar panels look like this. And they don't know that solar panels nowadays look like this. They're all black and just beautiful. It's like putting a sunlight or a sunroof on your house in terms of aesthetics. And that if you have an HOA from hell, you can even put camo on them. This is like camouflage for solar panels. Matt, that's a great face you're making. Have you ever seen anything like that before?
No.
I mean, it's pretty wild. So that's why HOAs are like, they are a problem, but they're also just trying to make sure that you don't get out of line, because a lot of people worked really hard to be in your community and they value people that are like them in their community. So when you start doing something weird, like making electricity yourself, sometimes they just need a little education, but you're welcome to send your HOA president to one of these. They can raise $50 for something they care about. They can learn, and we'll help hold your hand through the entire process of dealing with your HOA. So did that bring up any more thoughts or questions about HOAs, or can we delete the HOA part from here?
Done.
You can delete the HOA. That was good.
And then you might have seen this too, where you said, is it possible to do it other than my roof? I showed you one picture of that, which is, you know, if you have them out in the yard somewhere, who cares if they're all tic-tac-toe board looking? But you might want a pergola. If your husband owes you a building thing, or your brother said they'd build something for you, build yourself a pergola and use solar panels for the roof. If you want to go big time, like you've been talking about that outdoor kitchen, build yourself an outdoor kitchen over by the pool. Put solar panels as the roof of that. But there's some very good things about putting solar on your roof that kind of is the opposite of what a lot of y'all were asking about the hurricanes. So before we get into hurricanes, can we talk about how solar actually works first? Because that's kind of tied up with hurricanes. Would that be okay if I showed you okay. because a lot of people are worried about their solar just because they don't really understand how it works. Here's an example of a home. And we're going to pretend people live here, although they'd be really small. Looks like a cartoon kind of home. But if light hits these solar panels, I just say things like that to amuse myself. So solar panels turn light into electricity, but it's not the kind of electricity your house uses. You have to invert it. Because your solar panels make DC. This is for my science nerds out there. Your house uses AC, alternating current. The inverter turns the DC into the AC, and then your refrigerator can use whatever you're making during the day. What's wild is that during the day, you're usually making more than you could use. So Matt, what do you usually do if you have more something than you can use? What's something you could do with it?
Store it.
You can
go out of my way to use it, blast my AC or crank up my computer.
Yeah, so you can either make sure
games.
you use it all. You can have a party. You could say, charge your electric car at my house for free. You know, there's a lot of ways you could get rid of the electricity, but your solar panels might still make too much. In which case you can store it if you have a battery, but we're not talking about batteries right now. Most people who go solar don't get batteries. What they do is they stay connected to the utility company. So on cloudy days, if you're not making enough, you can just say, hey, Duke, hey, FPL, hey, Tico, shoot me some electricity over here. And they're not going to say no. They're glad to have you remain as a customer. So during the daytime, you're making more than you need and you're sharing it with your neighbors and you're getting paid for it from FPL or Duke. They keep track of it on this thing called a bidirectional utility meter. But all it really means is during the day, when you make more than you use, you get credits. And at night or on cloudy days, you pull it back off. Now, this is how this is connected to hurricanes. And then we'll get back to the rest of the story. First of all, before you can even get solar panels on a house, one of the steps is making sure that your county will allow you to connect it to your house. Now, Matt, you're not in Florida, but what do you think Miami-Dade County pays really close attention to when they're issuing permits? What have you heard these fine people talk about that you don't worry too much about?
Hurricanes.
Yeah, and so what comes along with hurricanes?
To bad weather and property damage.
Yeah, so you get wind. And so if you have more wind, if you live in Miami, the thing that's going to be different for y'all is that this is a house in Texas that needs 116 roof attachments. But if this same house were in Miami, it might need 232 roof attachments. Because the more places it's nailed in, the more resistant it is to the winds. And so that's why you have to get a permit before you can install it. And you get an inspection after you install it. And it's just part of the process of going solar to make sure that it works. So now, before I get into what this looks like on a monthly basis, let's get back to the hurricane thing. So now you're safely connected to your house according to Miami-Dade rules. You've got homeowners insurance in case a category 10 hurricane comes. So you're set. Sunlight, pretty safe. The sun's going to come up. You're making electricity. But then a hurricane comes and it knocks down the power lines. Well, if that happens, you won't have electricity if you don't have a battery. The reason why is because, remember, the extra electricity you're giving back to your neighbors? Well, if there's people working on the lines and you're putting electricity on the lines, that's a recipe for disaster for the people working on the lines. Putting energy back onto wires that people are working on is not good. So solar has safety equipment to make sure that doesn't happen. But if you have a battery, it kicks on 4 milliseconds after the grid goes down and you can keep the things running you want to. It's just like a generator, except for it doesn't have any fuel costs because the sun is the fuel. And the way this looks, so here's a guy that was selling energy back. So let's take a quick look at this to show you monetarily how it makes sense. A lot of y'all talked about that too. This is somebody who at nighttime or on cloudy days bought $93 worth of electricity. they're still connected to the grid. So during the day, they made $107 more than they needed and sold it back to their neighbors. So at the end of the month, Matt, can you see that number?
I can. Looks like a negative.
That is a negative. It's not a typo. So what do you think that means? If you saw a bill from the utility company that had a negative sign,
Looks like they owe me money.
yeah, have you ever gotten a negative bill from the electricity company before?
Absolutely not.
It's a pretty cool feeling. It's like, people who have been our friends for years, who went all the way through the process. We've helped people go solar in 14 states. And it's not until they get their first electricity bill, a lot of times, that they believe that it's real. They just got like, I'm going to go forward in faith. I'll see the numbers. But when you get the first bill and you realize that it's negative or very low, people get excited about that. But that wasn't just 1 month. You got $15 here, then they owed him 41, 24. Then they traded it all in because they didn't send him a check. It's kind of like having Venmo money where you can spend it, but it's not like real money because you can't spend it everywhere. And so these dollars you can spend with the electricity company. So it's like rollover minutes. Now with FPL, the way it works is at the end of, well, forget about the rollover minutes for a second, and let's get back to the rollover minutes as well. This shows a production graph of when you're making your solar energy. It rains a lot in the spring, so that's where your clouds come in. But overall, it evens out based on where the sun is in the sky. So when there's a lot of sunlight in the spring and your air conditions haven't kicked on yet, you're earning a lot of credits. You're making a lot of electricity that you are not using yourself. And then at the end of the year, when you're using more than you make, you just trade those credits in to pay for that. And that's how you can still stay connected to FPL, still buy electricity from them when you need it, and not have a bill for energy other than whatever it costs to stay connected, which is usually, depending on where you live, $8 to $15 a month. So you might wonder, well, how do I know it's actually making electricity? This is a little real quick video of an app from John's phone. So have you ever heard there's an app for that? If you want to know if they're actually working, you got this little app that tells you exactly how much electricity is being made every minute of the day. So you can make sure that you're receiving the amount of money that you should be receiving for it. And it's like watching an investment account go up. You can see the amount of environmental good, how much you're saving. So that is, that's the hurricanes part and kind of the batteries part. And it was a heck of a lot of information to throw at y'all. So does anybody have any questions about what I just shared? Because it was a lot, and it's okay if there's time.
About how much of a up cost would it be to include a battery in the installation?
Yeah, so as far as upfront cost goes, the answer to that is whatever you want it to be. Matt, did you know that you can go solar without paying a dime of your own money to do it up front?
I did not.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Even mortgages require down payments. So I'm going to ask this again. Eddie, if what I just told Matt is true, so I'm asking you a question, Eddie, to make sure you've been paying attention, and it's okay if you haven't. What is the minimum down payment? Did Eddie just get off? Is he still here?
I'm here.
Okay, I thought you might have hopped off. I'm like, man, that was a bad idea. So Eddie, what's the minimum amount of money you have to put down for solar panels if you want to do it?
Well, you said none.
That's right. Thank you for listening. So John, let me ask you a question since you're on here. What's 3 minus 3?
It's 0, Lester. It's just like getting an iPhone or a smartphone. You can walk into the store, they'll hand you $1,000 phone, and you can walk out without paying them anything and pay it off monthly. Solar panels work the same way. That's right. The ones Matt's actually at the Regen Center, and above his head are solar panels that we paid for 0 down. Right above
Matt's. How much down, John?
Just 0.
Okay, just to be clear. So just to show you guys that upfront cost is not a reason to go solar. How much your batteries cost depends on how many you want. But here's a secret I haven't really told anybody yet. One of the cool things about our service is that you pay what we pay for the equipment. So you can usually save about 10 grand on batteries using our service. because you pay wholesale. We just have a fee that we charge so that we can give more money to more people to keep having more conversations like this. And you'll see that tomorrow. We even show you that. So this thing you're going to get tomorrow shows you all these options. It shows your battery option. Down at the bottom, you can see the different amounts of batteries you might want. You can see some comparisons to like Tesla Powerwalls or Generacs. We chose this thing for an inverter setup because it's what the preppers like people who believe the world's going to fall apart. Want to make sure they have electricity when it does, but it is a great technical setup. We show you what we earn. We show you if you chose to go solar with us, how many people would get to use our service because of you. We show you all the project timeline and checklist and blah, 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 blah. But what that has to do with the price of tea in China. Now, I kind of got off on a tangent there, but Matt, do you happen to remember how much you have to pay down if you wanted to in order to go solar?
That would be 0.
Right. And so when you do go solar, that means that you make your own electricity. And so if you make your own electricity or produce your electricity for any engineers out there or generate, but we're going to say make because it's easier to say. So if you're making your own electricity, who do you not have to buy it from?
Power company.
And so if you're not paying the power company and you were paying them $127 a month, then how much money are you saving by no longer paying them?
That'll be 37.
Well, it's actually 127 if you don't want to have electricity.
Yeah.
But you probably want to have electricity, right? So that's a payment that does it for you. So in this example, this person found out they could make 100% of the electricity they needed, pay $0 down, get rid of a $127 bill. And Matt was right, it is $37 a month. So whenever we were talking about how long until I see the value return? If you haven't paid any money down and you start saving money the first month, then when does value begin to be returned?
That'll be immediately.
That's correct. So here's a couple of cool facts about a solar investment that most folks haven't thought about. Day one, your electricity bill doesn't increase the value of your home. Your solar does, as long as the appraisers that we meet along the way have the knowledge to understand why. And this is why. Whoever lives in your house is going to use electricity. That's why homes with solar sell faster and sell for more. Going solar means the electricity is going to cost half as much. So when you sell your home, if you've paid $5,000 down on your solar, they're guaranteed to make a lot of electricity for 25 years. So if you're only there for 5 years and you paid down $5,000, you still have like $30,000 worth of value and you have a $15,000 solar payment. So when you leave your house, you just mark up the value of your house 15 grand or mark it up 30 grand, and it would still be the same thing they were going to be paying to live there and use electricity if they'd been paying it to the electricity company. So your solar can not only be moving as a reason to get solar, not a reason not to, because if you end up renting your house instead of selling it, you can rent somebody their home and their electricity because you own the means of production. If you sell your house, it sells faster and it sells for more because it's worth more because you can produce electricity for less. And here's something I haven't mentioned today. Let's go to, since it's, so what's today's date? Does anybody have any distinction for what this day usually is for Americans?
Tax day.
Yeah, tax day. So let's talk about tax credit. Who here has already heard about the federal tax credit for going solar? So it's like most of y'all have not. If you choose to buy equipment that makes your electricity for you, the United States government will allow you to keep 26% of the cost of your system just because you went solar. So Matt, if you bought $20,000 worth of a solar job next year, there's going to be $5,200 you don't have to pay to the United States government because you went solar, which is pretty rad.
Hell yeah.
So solar not only saves you money on your electricity bill for month one, even if you use the longest form of financing, but it also saves you money on your tax bill next year. And it makes your house worth more. And it gets rid of a never-ending monthly payment. So this is the thing that causes me pain to talk to people about, but I just feel that without really making it clear, people don't get it. So I'll just keep picking on Matt since he's doing such a good job of talking here. So Matt, how much is your electricity bill roughly a month?
Probably averages about 80, more in the wintertime. I mean, more in the summertime.
All right. So can we say 100 just to make the math easier?
Yeah.
And then we'll all know it's a little bit less than that. So how much does that mean you're spending a year at $100 a month?
1,200.
And then over 10 years, what would that be?
12,000.
And over 20 years?
24,000.
And how long are solar panels warranted for?
25 years.
All right. So 5 more years on that would be 6,000 more. So 24 plus 6 is what?
31,000.
So $30,000. Yeah. So good. You're great all the way to the end. You made 99% on your math test. So what we just said was that Matt's going to spend $30,000. If you're spending $200 a month, like this family was that we created this design for, they were spending $200 a month on their electricity as well. That number's right there. We got that when they registered for the fundraiser. They were going to be spending $60,000 on electricity if they bought it from their utility company. Their solar job was less than 30. And if they wanted to pay for that zero down, it was a $164 bill to replace a $200 bill. The $200 bill never goes away, which is how we got into this. Because after 25 years, do you get to stop paying your electricity bill? You just do it again. And when it makes sense, we don't spend much time thinking about traumatic stuff, but the idea of having to pay a bill forever in order to have electricity to survive, it's a weird thing. Whatever, the sun's sending all the electricity we need and you could pay it off. So you can keep your power on after a storm, 4 milliseconds with the battery option. It's also not either or, right? You can invest your money wherever you want to, then just take a loan, $90 a month, that replaces $127 a month never-ending bill. So that's the money part. What if I move? Sells faster. So which of these do you see on here that needs to be addressed now? So is it possible to do it other than my roof? Yes. Melissa, hopefully you're not being overwhelmed tonight. Your first time.
No, I'm taking it all in.
So thank you for being here. Did you have any questions that popped up while we were going through that stuff?
Not really. I'm just listening in.
Thank you for listening. And then Shauna, we've got Clean Energy and Planet. So you're talking about instead of breaking the mountains up to get coal to set things on fire to make steam to spin magnets, it might make sense just to make this little cool piece of technology one time and use it to make our electricity for 25 years from free sunlight. Is that kind of what you meant by better for the planet? Or did Shauna leave?
It's Shoshana. That's
Shoshana.
Yeah, it's Shoshana. Just something that may have been said so quickly, it might have been missed with the kind of mixes in with the possibility of moving, which like Lester mentioned earlier, we could all move in 2 years. There's so many times where we thought we had plans, right? But things change. It's a really fantastic reason to go solar. Just like, I think Juan Carlos, he's still here. He probably has a lot of experience with homeowners who just did a lot of recent investment in their property before they sell. Like maybe they put new floors in, or they remodeled the kitchen, or it's just super common to upgrade a house before selling it because there's a return on that investment, right? People will pay more for a house with a fresh kitchen or new floors. Well, that's the way it works with solar. If you don't overpay for your solar, which is very common as well, That's one of the reasons why we created this service. So you weren't paying sales commissions and advertising costs and marked up labor and marked up equipment. But if you pay a fair price for your solar, it will add more value to your property when it's installed and activated than it actually cost to install and activate it. And so therefore, and you'll find this very clearly if you search, what happens to the value of my property if I go solar? If you Google around for a little bit, you'll find that there's tons of sources out there, but they all say the same thing. It will increase the value and it will sell faster. So if you are selling your house, might be something to consider.
Hurricanes, batteries are like generators, Manuel. Only they run on sunlight. You don't even have to go get gas to fill them up. And they work almost immediately. It takes 4 milliseconds to turn on. Unless your roof blows away, it is unlikely your solar will blow away. There is one wind speed that I would imagine could cause that to not be true. And it would be right at about 147 miles an hour. And I just made that up. There's no scientific evidence for that, except for the fact that solar panels themselves are usually engineered to hold up to 140 to 150 mile per hour winds. But the places where they attach are usually, what is it, Miami, John, 145 to 155?
That's what the wind speed requirement is in order to pass code. But you can actually engineer it for more than that by attaching it more often. But yes, that's what the county requires, is that the engineer specs will it will withstand higher than 145 mile an hour winds.
Hopefully, Lizette just had a real simple question. Yeah, super easy peasy. But one thing, Lizette, that might have, from what I heard John say, that might have been confusing, is that you can have your solar on so that it's ready to be turned on just about as soon as you move in, but you wouldn't be able to turn it on for that small amount of electricity use that's just being used during construction, right, John?
Yeah, usually exactly. A construction drop is not gonna be able to handle the voltage of a solar array in most cases.
Right. So just wanted to be sure, because I thought you might have been asking earlier, can we get rid of that little bit of electricity bill we have currently before the house is built? And so insurance, we checked that, seen a lot of panel appraisers. Juan Carlos, does it make sense to you now why solar would make your house more valuable if electricity cost half as much to live there? Or did you have any more questions about how that works?
The buyers are, they like it.
What kind of stories have you heard? Like, you've got a lot of experience in this, right? What is it that you hear that buyers like about it?
No, I mean, when I get to a house and they have the solar panels, if it's a purchase or whatever it is, first thing they do is they bring me all the paperwork from what they, they show me all that. So, I take it from there.
Thank you. And
yes, sometimes when you're appraising a house and it does have the solar panels, some houses in the area have also, sold with solar panels, and you could see, that, it's people pay for that.
And so that's why, even if you do it with no money down and you have money left over, it's just extra money when you sell your home, because your house is worth more, and then you pay off whatever's left in your loan, just like you'd pay off whatever's left of your mortgage. So, Juan Carlos, thank you for contributing. And if there's any more questions that you could think of right now, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to share with you the last part, which is, hopefully by now, if I've done a decent job, I know there was a lot of information to share, then at the very least, you feel like this is an easy fundraiser, because that part's been over since we saw that cat 30 minutes ago. If I've done maybe an even better job, you realize that you have a bill that you're never going to get rid of, called being attached to the utility company, because you like using electricity. And hopefully, now that you can make your electricity yourself. For how much down was it, John? What's the least amount of money you have to pay?
0.
$0 down, and you can actually start saving money from month one. Now, you don't have to pay $0. You can pay however much you want to. But the reason John and his wife did a 21-year loan is because they said 21 is better than forever. And if I split it up that long, it'll be about the same price or even a little bit less than my current payment. But you will see in what we send you tomorrow a way to click and see all the different interest rates that we have through our partner based on what your credit score is. You can click here if you have any questions, or if you're just like, why would if it just starts eating at you, why am I continuing to pay a bill that I'm never going to pay off when I could pay nothing and start to eliminate that bill forever while doing something good for all the humans on the planet? But I don't really understand how they got this number of panels, so I want to talk to them about it. Or I want to talk to them about batteries. All you have to do is click. We keep lots of times available so that if you have any questions, it won't be a bother at all. Even if we had to go through this entire thing again, because you are not a fast learner tonight, because you're busy doing things in your life, no problem. But here's the process if you wanted to do it. Part one can take as long as you want it to. If Matt waits 2 years to go solar, he will have spent $2,400 he's never going to get back. Matt, do you understand where I got that number?
I think he lost service.
Oh, Matt lost service. Dang, he got sick of me talking to him the whole time. So Eddie, does that make sense? Do you remember how he was paying $100 a month?
Yeah, of course. It does make sense. The whole issue is, I did receive from you guys an estimate. And I know because of the location of my house that the panels will have to be in the front. I have a gable roof and I have tile, like Spanish tiles. And that would take some convincing, the lady in the house to have those black panels in front of the house. And I know that's because of the fact that I face south.
Yeah.
So, it's something to think about. Obviously, I'm at an age now where I may be downsizing in the near future.
Great.
I have a brand new roof in the property that I put in last year. So, there's a lot of things that I have to consider, but certainly it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that when most people say they're going to consider, it sounds like in your case, what you need to consider is which restaurant you want to take your wife out to. And what kind of nice date you're going to have planned for. But in terms of like considering it, any questions you have, we're here for. There's never going to be any pressure on our end. The only pressure is every day that you pay an electric bill is money that could have gone towards owning something instead. Because you don't have an extra bill when you go solar. You use your old bill to pay your new one. And if you do downsize, you can sell your house faster. So that's what I was talking about the $2,400. We don't even know how many panels you need yet, or which equipment you want. You said you didn't get it. John will send it to you, or we'll make sure that gets sent, Eddie. Be sure to check your spam box if you didn't see it. But it might have been because it pulled up as a townhome and we didn't know that you had access to your roof.
No, I did get it. I did get it and I looked at it.
You did get it. I thought you said you didn't get it.
It's actually a picture of my house with the with the panels and the location.
Oh, I didn't show you this, but this is why we put them on the south, Eddie, because you need one panel on the south for every 1.5 you need on the north. And for most people, they'd rather spend less money, even if it meant they were an advertisement for solar energy, than to pay 50% more to have them on the back. But you can put your panels wherever you want to put them. It's just that sometimes to make all the electricity you need, you have to put them in the most efficient and least efficient locations. But that's something that we can talk about. And that's for everybody else, when you see your design, that's what it is. Something I wanted to show you on your design real quick, and then we're done for all intents and purposes here, is you can decide how do you want to pay for it. You can pay $0 down, like John keeps talking about and interrupting me, saying 0 and nothing. And so you can pay it for 0, or you can pay for it all. Well, if you understand why a great and safe investment it is, you might not want to pay to use somebody else's money. You might want to use money from your savings account to make your electric bill flat and have an end date, because the sun is a pretty safe investment. But this does not take very long to do. In your design, you'll see a way to click to get in touch with us. And that's all you got to do. And it can take under an hour to get all this done. So now, Eddie, let's pretend that you take your wife out. We get your panels where you want them. It's a great deal. You understand that it's a reason to do it, even if you downsize. And you just are like, all right, let's do it, boys. Let's make some electricity from sunlight. Then the bad news is that after that, you have to start the waiting game. You send us some pictures so we can create these engineered drawings that your county needs to make sure that it can be safely installed according to county code. That doesn't take very long. But if you're in Miami, you might have an HOA, no matter where you are, and these permits can take months. Have you ever tried to get a permit in Miami before, Eddie?
Oh, yes.
Like, it could take a long time.
Yeah.
That is outside of our control. But usually it takes about 3 months. Sometimes in Miami, it can take 5 or 6, but you'll always know where you are in the process. And we're there to help walk you through it. Then you get to pick your contractor. We have people that we use, but if you have a brother, like you'll see tomorrow in your open book pricing, exactly how much the contractors earn. So this is a really good job. This is like a 2-day job for 4 people. And that's $1,000 a day almost. So you might have a nephew or a niece or somebody that's an electrical contractor that you would prefer to be hired for the job than who we would use. And we could teach them how to install solar, or we can just use somebody that's got a lot of experience. It's up to you. You can get your equipment delivered directly to you or to the electrician. The good news is it only takes 1 to 3 days to install it. People are not in your house, in your space, messing everything up. They leave we have an agreement with our contractors. They leave the place in broom clean condition every day at the end of the day. So you won't be embarrassed with your neighbors by having junk in the yard. Like, we do a good job of understanding it's your place, and it doesn't take long to go solar. The actual installation is quick. And then you get 2 inspections, one from the county to make sure it's safe, one from the utility company to give you your box where they keep track of how much money they owe you at the end of the month on that box, and they make sure that it's all hooked up correctly. And then at the end, that little secret I shared earlier about paying wholesale, if we end up paying less than we are expecting to pay for these things, then at the end, we give you a rebate for the difference after your system is turned on. So you turn it on, your app starts working, you start making electricity. And, basically this is what, April, May, June, July. Best case scenario, it might be up by the end of June. Most likely it's July. Possibly it's August or September if you wrote a check today. So if you're like, I need time to think about it, just know that if you magically decided, you're still going to have to wait because it's a process. So one thing that we invite you to not wait on is to continue the conversation. If you see the numbers and it makes sense to you when you see your numbers that you would like to exchange a $200 bill for a $164 bill or whatever your number turns out to be, and you want to make sure that these numbers are actually correct, which comes down to how much electricity do you actually use, because that's what determines the number of solar panels you need, which is what determines the cost of the entire project. Then be in touch with us. And John always has a good pitch at the end here. He started saying, so before I let him give his pitch, give you his spiel about how great we are, does anybody have any more questions? Because I think we covered the stuff that y'all came here to talk about. If you don't feel we have, please let me know. And if you have anything else, please let me know and we'll continue. All right. Well, John, you want to give them your spiel on why it makes sense to use our service to continue their exploration process?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but I guess if what you're talking about is the answer, people always ask, well, why you guys? Is that what you're talking about, Lester?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's just a lot of solar companies out there. We've been at this for a little over 6 years, and one of the things that we found is that we really had to show people all the pieces of the puzzle so you guys could see that you're still getting 25-year warranties, you're still getting licensed, bonded, and insured contractors, you're still getting tier 1 equipment. Because our prices tend to be significantly less than other folks, and it's just like, that's the reason Airbnb and Uber took off. It's because it was less to take an Uber to the airport than it was to take a taxi. And that's because people trusted people, right? You trust a stranger to give you a ride to the airport. It's less expensive than paying a taxi service. You trust a stranger. So, oh, okay, that's something. You don't stop sharing your screen. I was like, did I just lose everybody? But yeah, so because trust is here in this relationship, like Sobe and EKB, like these organizations would not have introduced you guys to Ovanova if we weren't a legitimate organization. And because you trust your organization, you don't have to pay a sales commission as a part of your project. You don't have to pay for the Google ads and the Facebook ads. They cost money and they're wrapped into the cost of going solar. And you won't pay for marked up solar panels or equipment. And you will pay exactly what it costs the electricians and the roofers to install your job. There's no such thing as a solar company. A solar company just hires electricians and roofers to do an install, orders solar equipment, and marks it up. So we just created a really, really fun way to help the world go solar, a way that we'd want our moms to go solar, and we like our moms. So, that's why Ovanova is just because we work through community organizations and take money that's definitely going to be spent on marketing and advertising, and we give it to Sobe and EKB, and actually have a patient, loving, kind conversation with you guys as long as it takes to help you see that technology advances and certain things just don't make sense anymore. It doesn't make sense to hop on a horse to go get your groceries. Right? Are you going to show the iPhone? It doesn't make sense to carry a camcorder and a boombox around anymore because we have an iPhone. And it really doesn't make sense to keep paying somebody else to burn pieces of your planet, our planet, to be able to generate electricity when we can do it from free sunshine. The first solar panels were invented 67 years ago, back in 1954. They are still working. A piece of equipment that has no moving parts is not likely to just all of a sudden break. It just sits there. You don't have to change the oil on a solar panel, right? There's no maintenance. So either way, that's a lot. We're here. The craziest thing about it is it just all sounds too good to be true. So Google it, look into it all you want. You can get extra quotes on energysage.com. That's a great place to get extra quotes if you like. But just know that if ours is less, it's not because it's less quality. It's just because you're not paying for a lot of the soft costs and marked up equipment. It's because we're trying to make it as accessible as possible.
Reminds me of that old YouTube.
Okay.
Oh, no, because we love you.
All right.
Eddie. Thank you, Eddie.
Thanks, guys. Happy Thursday.
Thanks for being a great granddad. Sometimes shy people stick on till the end just because they have some questions they don't want to say in front of everybody else. So if there's any shy ones on here, let us know.
Was that the spiel you were looking for, Lester?
Yeah, I just thought it'd be funny to call it a spiel.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what part you were actually talking about. I mean, I like how you finished up the last time talking about the iPhone. I thought that was really kind of wrapped it around nicely. We started out with technology advancement in the past, but finishing it.
I think that bores people.
In the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning. They're like, okay, when are they going to get on with it?
Sure.
I came here for a fundraiser and to learn about solar energy. So that's why I've gotten a little bit more into answering stuff at the beginning, just to let people know, like, this will be informational.
It's like showing a section before doing your intro sometimes because people just want to see the books. Like,
right. And so there's a bunch of people that there was a lot of money objections or anything. It was just like, help me understand how it works.
Yeah, but I think that's a standard operating procedure of bringing up the technology at the end as a way to wrap it around.
I like that too. I felt it a little bit when you said it. Those are most feelings I've heard about when you said our planet, your planet, our planet. I'm like, whoa, that didn't seem like a cheesy sales talk at all. That seemed like a real thing based in truth, because it is.
Yeah, how many times do we have to say it before it sounds authentic?
It depends on who the listener is, I suppose. But I was just thinking though at the end that when we send the things to people, one of the things that we should definitely do is we have supporters that allow us to develop our technology more rapidly. Is they don't need to be receiving what they're receiving. They need to receive something that says, is it accurate that you spend X dollars a month on electricity? Or you said that you spent this much on electricity. That means that you're going to spend 25 years if the electricity doesn't go up. Like, the amount that it will cost you to produce the same amount of electricity is this. Therefore, your savings are this, minus whatever financing fees you choose to use to pay for your equipment, because it's really just buying something. It does something for you. I don't know. It's like I just see like it being like one number at a time. Like, did this sink in? Did this sink in? Did this sink in? Instead of here's 10,000 numbers that, when we know people don't like math and don't really understand it. That's a cool dude. How'd you run across him?
He just texted me too. He said his phone died, which is why he got cut off. I'll definitely join more of these meetings so I can gather all the knowledge. Was what he said. Yeah, he's cool. He rich money. He showed up.
His name is Rich Money.
Well, that's how he goes by. He's like a rapper, disc golf dude. Like he's I met him through like Spencer and those guys.
Yeah.
And I met Spencer and those guys through Kevin. But it's like but Rich is the one that hooked us up with Kevin Devlin too as an electrician. But basically Matt was doing construction work full time, not enjoying he wasn't fulfilled. And Rich just said, hey, I got a guy who's a hard worker who, knows how to do things. He's got a lot of skills, but he's not fulfilled in his current situation. And I was like, yeah, man, introduce me to all those people. So Matt came out to the farm, we met, and we just hired him full time at the Regen Center. He works with Uncle Dan every day.
Oh, wow. I didn't even recognize he was at the Regen Center. Like, when you said he's at the Regen Center, it took me a second to realize, oh, wow, that's nice back there. That's developed. It looks like a real place.
It's coming along. It's like just a one day at a time type thing. But Victor, I think he decided to become a full-time Regen Center worker.
Great.
So Uncle Dan, Matt, I mean, great if I can keep them all funded for sure. So we'll see. I mean, it helps that Ovanova is contributing more than the cost of the standard, land fees, which at least we have been for the last 4 weeks. So, which is great.
So anybody, so for the one person who watches this in 10 years, you'll probably have heard about the Regen Centers by then, because we plan on building 1,000 of them. But we just believe in adding as much value as possible, as many lives as possible, as cliche as that sounds. And we're not very imaginative. So far, we only have 3 ways that we know we can do that. One is to give money to people who are doing good things in their communities, whether it's building a playground or a shade for a playground, or sending some kids to the Air Force Academy or part of their OTC program, or sending shipments of food to Honduras after hurricanes and earthquakes, and building clinics in the Dominican Republic, cleaning the oceans, making an album. We've donated to a bazillion different things, and glad to have contributed to all of them, because those are all things that we wouldn't have been able to do by ourselves. And it just took some resources. And then the second way we add as much value as possible, as many lives as possible, is by teaching people about solar energy. If you've watched enough of these, you recognize folks just don't know, and sometimes we like to have cheesy conversations like, how much does it cost, John? It's 0. What's 3 minus 3? But that's just for fun, It's like I just kind of meta making fun of cheesy sales tactics that are actually effective because repetition does sell. And I bet that at least 30% of people know that they could go solar for zero down now, which is probably a 300% improvement over the number of people that normally understand that after one of those. But regardless, teaching people about solar energy who don't know much about it at a time when the world needs to use it, and it would save us $1 billion a day as a country, not to mention the future cost of the secondary damage that it costs to, burn things in order to make steam, make heat to make steam, to spin magnets to make our electricity that way. So we think solar energy is a really good thing. Part of learning about solar is giving people an easy way to transition. So we do that too. They just Zoom with us. We never send anybody to anybody's house. We just talk about their project virtually. And it saves a lot of money, not sending people out to houses and not spending money on advertising. Having a business that you can do is so transparently, you can Zoom it on YouTube because you're going to tell people the truth. You're not trying to hide. And if we did say something wrong, like I think the first time I ever ran one of these, I said it takes 6 milliseconds for your battery to kick on. And then I remembered it was 4 whenever John said it. So sometimes I'm factually inaccurate by 2 milliseconds, and I'd like to know those things.
By 2 milliseconds.
It's sometimes a lot worse. And sometimes I just imagine things like at the beginning of that one, when I was trying to explain whatever I was trying to explain about the insurance, and it was way too out there.
Factually, Lester Crafton, factually inaccurate by 2 milliseconds. What is it? Your timelines are off by 4 years.
Yes, sometimes 9 or 10. Yeah. So if you hear me say something on a timeline, so I said, whoever's listening to this in 10 years at the beginning, it probably means more like 40. But at some point, hopefully humans will have enough spare time on their hands because they don't have to get up and go to work to pay for electricity, that you'll be able to watch every video on YouTube trying to figure out how the solar revolution happened. You might have heard you ever heard this is an old saying from my era, but it's like the revolution will be televised. Well, we believe the solar revolution will be live streamed. We're glad to bring it to you. And the third way that we add as much value as possible, and why our YouTube channel will eventually be super cool, is that we also support regenerative centers every time somebody shows up. So we give $50 to an organization that the person comes to show up, and we donate $20 to the development of these places, where the entire point is to create a safe haven for artists, scientists, healers, teachers, helpful humans who really want to add as much value as possible to as many lives as possible by sharing their knowledge or skills or craft or brains or talent or ability, can just come together and unplug for a second, because all of the communities will develop more food, will grow more food than the community needs to share, produce more electricity, more water, and do it all not in a way that's sustainable, because we believe that we've done too much damage at this point to just sustain where we are. We need to be regenerative. We need to produce more than we consume and leave things better than we found them. And we are pretty bad at doing that a lot of times, but we do the best we can to learn every day. And so any comments, any thoughts, anything like that, any ways we can improve, any organizations who might want to use our service, we'd be glad to serve them. There's 90 million humans who need to go solar. We're not competing with other solar companies. People can go solar however they want to. We just want you to do it because we live in the world you live in, and we're tired of living in a world that doesn't make sense.
So to recap, add as much value as possible to as many lives as possible in 3 ways: fundraising, solar, and regenerative centers.
Yay! So, all right, I don't really feel like being cheesy on YouTube anymore, although I do like doing that sometimes. I'll do it again tonight. Do you want to run the full one tonight, or do you want me to do it?
I really came to, I don't want to run them because I'm at the, it's 7:13, and first of all, I have a million things that I could still be doing. I came to it because I was like, I should probably show up for a few more of these so I can get clear. So if Lester can't run them, I will. But we definitely shouldn't be doubling up, you and me, on these.
100%, yeah.
But you need somebody to take role, you know, there definitely needs to be a second person here. It's crazy that we have a team and nobody's showing up to learn to do these. So we need to acknowledge that and do something about it.
Yeah.
But if you're tired and you want me to run it, no problem. But as far as doubling stuff up, I probably could get some stuff done in the next.
Yeah, go get it done.
I haven't finished looking over any of those requests for quotes, and I haven't gotten back to Matt. Did you see that email from Matt at Allegiance?
No, what did he say?
He said, because I mentioned that we could do 65 cents if he's doing his own racking. And he said that they could do 80 cents if they paid for the racking. But, you know, it's just like, I just don't think we should form the habit of paying installers that much money. That's a lot for a job that big too. If anything, the labor should go down. So yeah, I don't think it's a wise decision, but I haven't responded because I thought it'd be good to talk with Trey and see if he actually can and has interest in doing it. And if, you know, we could do it. It's just, it could be fun if it's just a solar install. You know, it'll give us a good chance to, I don't know. It just seems principle wise, we shouldn't pay somebody that much to do something that simple.
Well, the thing is that we already overpay installers by 25% over what most people pay them to begin with.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
And so I don't see any inherent value unless these guys, I mean, I can imagine that some installers would be worth paying 60 cents or 65 cents. Like heck, the Carlson guys in Wisconsin, it's top. If everybody were as good as Carlson has been so far, if Carlson continues to be as good as they have been, then
Sure.
that's a service totally worth paying that much for. But, you know, most people are not in that situation where we end up doing all the service work ourselves to make sure it gets done right.
Right. Well, I think then my email is going to say, we'll pay you 80 cents. You guys will pay for we will pay for panels, inverters, all the solar specific stuff. And you guys also handle interconnection and in the future engineering. We've already taken care of the engineering this time, but if we want to do future jobs, it would be engineering, interconnection, and racking for 80 cents. And that's less than we would normally pay somebody for that. But
yeah, that's good. That'd be fair.
It's still fair. Yeah, it's still fair.
Because you got about 50 and 20 and 10.
Right.
Yeah.
It should be enough.
Yeah, it should be.
It should be enough. And I'm sure they're going to have all sorts of adders for smaller jobs and random
so
stuff.
better to say none of this, like no adders, no surprises. Like we can have an unlimited number of people use this service if you guys can actually perform the way it seems you can. But we're not going to have these conversations about who gets what, because it's just going to lead us to find a better value for somebody else later on, unless you guys are really worth what you're about to receive.
Yeah, I think they just think we probably are desperate or something, because I've been trying to move the job forward because I have a sense of urgency about it. So they probably think we're desperate. And I don't think it would be great for Rudy or anybody else involved to agree to that, especially when they could be good partners if they decided to actually be partners.
Yeah, you're probably right. And we'll have a few more people in Austin soon, and then some other people to get back with in Texas. We got a lot of jobs to do.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind running OCs, but I don't think that we should both be running OCs.
Yeah,
there's just too much to do right now. We need to be, and you should always have somebody following you, and I should always have somebody following me. And you know, we just don't have enough people on the team paying full-time attention. I mean, we didn't even have our numbers for savings tonight, which, you know, that the fact that wasn't done isn't bad, but the fact that we said we would do it and it wasn't done is, you know, all we have to do is say, hey, we don't have time for that, or we can't do it. But
to renegotiate what we said we were going to do today, but at least acknowledge it didn't get done. Yesterday was the first day we did it. Or second day. So it's not a habit yet. People need coaching until things are habitized. Luke was gone to the doctor, and, you know, Holly's.
No, yeah. it is what it is, but that's the kind of stuff that, that's a tiny thing that fell between the cracks when there's a million other things that definitely would if we weren't being fanatics about it.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna go see if the jobs down in Florida were moved ahead engineering wise today.
oh, the MOAs.
Yeah.
I saw that, and
yesterday it seemed like they were like actually on it, and then we got an email today and it seemed like they were on it, and it said hang on, so we'll find out.
Yeah, totally. All right, well,
have fun today. Go get some stuff built. It's still daylight. Do whatever you need to do. Thanks for being fanatical on the project management side. I just thought maybe you really would want to run an info session because they're so much fun and I don't want to hog them all to myself. So
they are fun, but we have, a certain amount of hours in a day. And last night, I think it was like 10 when I made it down and to the room. I missed the nightly shower with Abby. So, just I know it's a tough world. I got to get clean sometime.
I'm glad you have somebody that you're married to help you wash your back. So,
dude, otherwise I just wouldn't wash myself.
Yeah, that's true. Well then run that. It might not be true for you, but it's been true for me oftentimes.
That you wouldn't wash yourself unless somebody else washed you?
I don't really need to take a shower today or tomorrow. I can't make it more than like 2 days though, because then it gets kind of gross. But
no, it's all about the environment, Lester. Come on. I'm
going to lie and say, yeah, I'm just take a shower.
It's water conservation. It's like I'd really love to get in the shower and to clean my skin, but that water though.
That water. I just don't like that water.
Well, it's the water, the electricity, and the time.
Cool. I get my appointment booked for Monday at 2:30, and so we'll find out what's going on then, or at least get a real consultation. So have better clarity.
Congratulations.
And Kello's coming into town next Wednesday, or going to Asheville, so I want to hang out with him so Luke and Holly or somebody can run at least one of the ones on Wednesday.
Or I can do it then. I don't mind running information sessions. I have no issues with the OC running. It's more just Lester and John doubled up when there's so much to do already. That's all.
It's too much.
Yeah, probably for the people involved too.
Yeah, probably so. Just too much goodness or evilness or whatever we are. But we'll find out one of these days.
Maybe or whatever we are. Right. Regenerativity, Lester.
We're what?
Regenerativity. Is that the word? Regenerative?
Regenerativity.
Regenerativeness.
Too much regenerativity.
Generosity.
Yeah, it's like, well, how'd you guys go out of business? We just gave first and told the truth, and people didn't like it. Well, our friends and family members seem to like it. Yeah. And everybody else will come around too once they realize it wasn't a trick. They'll be like, holy cow, we were one of the first schools to ever be on a YouTube with those guys. They're like, look at me. This is me. I want OC number 346. We probably ought to number them 346 instead of just the date and 1 and 2. It's like, have you seen episode 347? And that guy starts yelling about whatever. We're going to meet some wackos. It's going to be fun. At least people who have enough connection to a community to come and support a community are generally more stable, which can work against them in a situation like this.
Are generally more stable. Maybe, unless they're just unstable because they support so many things other than themselves. It's like themselves. They're just. That's
like.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's good that you got an appointment to go support yourself in health, which is great.
Yep, it'll be fun to find out what's going on. If I'm dead, I'm dead. But if I'm not, I'm not. And in the meantime, I'm definitely not. So I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Well,
have fun tonight.
If I can get through these RFQs and these emails to Bella and Matt, then I'm feel complete. So I'll let you know how it goes in the morning.
Enjoy the shower. Talk to you soon.
Hey, if you don't have anybody on the 8 p.m., let me know. I'll come and take roll. I just won't be attentive.
Usually Christian takes roll. Did he take roll tonight?
I did. I didn't.
Oh,
I mean,
he was probably on there to take roll. Christian usually does it.
oh, okay. Usually is not probably not good enough, but
Every time that there's been one so far and there wasn't an Ovanova teammate, Christian's taken roll and done a good job of it.
is that a coincidence?
What do you mean?
Well, you said every time there wasn't an Ovanova teammate. I'm just wondering if that's coincidence or if he's just religiously there.
No, he's religiously there. Like he wants to make sure that everybody gets credit. You know how he is, making sure that the school.
That's great. Well,
credit, yeah.
I mean, that's a wonderful thing if it's
He's
true.
been doing homeowner verification too, I think. Like he's really contributing.
I thought Holly was doing that, but that's great as well.
Yeah, no, I thought Holly was too, but Luke said it was Christian.
Okay. Well,
So maybe it's both. They're just a bunch of bees bringing some pollen back from different places so we can make honey.
as long as they're not a bunch of bees going to the same flower to find out that it's empty, or I mean, we could handle what we're doing right now, just me and you, probably better than our team is doing it combined right now.
Yep, but this all we could ever handle is that. So
right, but that's not okay for as long as we've been doing it. Like I don't think our team is growing right now as far as skills and competency and ability to make decisions and move things
that's
forward.
up to us.
Well, yeah, it is. I've been saying that in the nicest way I can possibly say it for the last couple weeks.
Cool.
But it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, it matters. Fire them or train them. Talking about the problem doesn't do any good at all, other than there is one. Because it might not be the problem that we think it is.
What do you mean?
Well, maybe we think we have the problem of people are not being conscientious in their design making, for instance, which is one of the data points I'm assuming you're using to validate your hypothesis that the team doesn't seem to be getting better because the designs don't seem to be getting better. When in actuality, the problem might be either super clear thing like we started working on about exactly how to do it. So it could be training, doubtful, but possible. Or it could be that people think that they are in a bigger hurry than they are. And so it really just would take a good PC and a better schedule to let people know it really doesn't take that much time and it's not worth doing at all unless it's done very, very well. So we would prefer to have 10 things not sent than to have 30 sent poorly, knowing that there's no way there would be 10 unsent because we're actually talking about maybe an additional hour total for all of the designs at our current volume level.
Yeah, I know. It's probably you would rather have more teammates. And I just think that like it's real clear it's commitment and focus. I mean, the training is, it's not like we've never said, no, I'm not going to train you, but it's just commitment and focus. And we, I guess when we're offering people to just sign their name on something and get paid the same as everybody else, there's no real incentive for them to reach deep and care and commit and focus. So either you have to modify that or, remind people on a daily basis of what the mission is.
That's how we're going to do it.
Yeah, right. Well, if you want to run that part of the meeting in the morning and remind people of what this is about, maybe, but it's just not how it's currently going down is not working.
Okay, then we'll do something about it.
Yes, that's what I've been saying for the last couple of weeks. Maybe we can make it actually happen. It'd be cool.
All right.
See you in the morning.
Peace.